algemeen te converten tot Jodendom. En dat gebeurde al bij de Mount Sinai in beneden al. En dat is wel interessant, is dat.
Oké, bedankt voor de aanvulling. Maar Guri is een momenteel. En we gaan verder met de halacha van vorige week, geloof ik.
Oké. You hear me?
Ja?
Boker tov.
Boker tov.
Baruch Hashem, thank you. Sorry, I missed your shir, Mayor.
Rabba.
The whole shir.
Ja, niet lachen.
Okay, who gave the shir before me?
Nafti.
Nafti. On the parsha?
Ja.
Oh, okay.
Waarom heet de parsha Yisro en niet Moshe Rabbeinu? Of is niet vernoemd naar?
Okay. So in the short, what did he say?
Ja, in de short. Nee, het was heel goed. Hij bereidt zich altijd heel goed. Ja, het was goed.
Oké, interessant.
Interessant, goed.
Ja, no.
Nu krijgen we nog wat interessants, hopelijk. Wat? Ik zeg, nu krijgen we ook wat interessants.
Oké.
Ja. Als je doorgaat van vorige week was het zeer interessant.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to go further from last week. So we're going to do just a few minutes of recap.
Ja, doe eventjes.
Just to get back into our heel interessante topic. And maybe one or two people who are listening this week were not there last week. And even those who were there last week, just to remind ourselves. A little reminder, because a whole week has passed, and as you know, a lot has happened, and a lot happens every week. Even during Corona. But still, you have to, what we call a refresh. Sometimes with your computer, you also have to press refresh.
Yeah.
So we do also with our mind a refresh. Okay. So the topic we were talking about last week was about Kiddush HaChodesh. There was a mitzvah in the parsha a few weeks ago that the Bezdin should be Mekadesh b'Chodesh every month. So we got into a very, very good, deep discussion, and we're going to go even deeper this week. And we had a few questions from the Krupfeld about Rosh Hashanah 2 days and Yom Kippur 2 days. But B'ezrat Hashem, we will get to that hopefully soon. Maybe even this year we'll have to go into a third week if we don't finish off today. But let's refresh what we said last week. So there's a mitzvah of Kiddush HaChodesh, which means that every month in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, before we had the Luach, before we had communication, the way they announced the new month was 2 Eidim came to the Bezdin and they said, we saw the new Levana. And Bezdin asked lots of questions, and if the Bezdin saw or thought that they were right, the 2 Eidim, Bezdin were Mekadesh the Chodesh. Okay, today we live by the calendar. The calendar was made by Hillel, not Hillel and Shammai, but different Hillel, who fixed our Luach. Now, why did Hillel fix our Luach? Because Hillel saw that Bezdin is going to stop one day because Golus was coming, and we won't be able to have the Bezdin to be able to decide and fix the months. So therefore, Hillel made a whole calculation, we'll see soon, based on a few Gemaras and lots of different halachas. And based on that, Hillel made our calendar, which we still have today. Okay, so we explained something very, very important last week, and this is where we left off. We explained the following. We first asked one question. We asked a few questions, but we're going to go back into one of the questions that we asked last week. One of the questions we asked last week is, why some months have 2 days Rosh Chodesh and some months have 1 day Rosh Chodesh? Right? That was one of our questions last week. Why do some months have 2 days Rosh Chodesh and some months have 1 day? So we explained, and we said that the month that has 30 days, then Lamed, day 30 is Rosh Chodesh, and Aleph is Rosh Chodesh of the next month. If the month only has 29 days, then day 29 is not Rosh Chodesh, and day Aleph is Rosh Chodesh, right? So usually in a normal calendar, what we have is the following. We have 1 month 29 days, 1 month 30 days, 1 month 29 days, 1 month 30 days. So therefore, 1 month will have 1 day Rosh Chodesh, 1 month will have 2 days Rosh Chodesh. That's the way it goes. Because if there's 30 days in a month, then Yom Lamed, which is 30, is Rosh Chodesh, and Aleph is Rosh Chodesh. If there's only 29 days, then day 29 is not Rosh Chodesh, and only Aleph of the next month is Rosh Chodesh. Okay, is everyone with me so far?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't see. Okay, so most people have on mute or camera off, no problem. But if anyone has any questions or wants to stop or raise of hands, no problem. Don't be shy.
Now, may I try? Good morning.
Good morning to you. Mr. Van Praag.
I was inspired by your last week's shir, and I tried to learn the Mishnah Rosh Hashanah in order to find an answer. But I have to say, in the Dutch version, I didn't find a clue. But in the English one, the Black Man, I find an additional note in an addendum on Mishnah Rosh Hashanah, which says as follows. Maybe I may read this, only a couple of lines.
Yeah.
It goes on the word metakenim. Were determined, were regulated, were adjusted. Literally, they determine, they regulate, they adjust. Up to the period of Ezra, the months of Adar and Elul had on rare occasions, owing to the late arrival of reporting witnesses, 30 days each. But from his time, so from the time of Ezra, these 2 months never exceeded 29 days each, though in a leap year, Adar Rishon has 30 days and Adar Sheni 29 days. Is that the kind of an answer that you're looking for?
To which question? Why 2 days Rosh Chodesh?
Yes. And why Rosh Chodesh years?
I don't think that answers our question of 2 days. How do you understand that answers the question?
Well, because here you can see that at least for 2 months, the lengths of the months were fixed. It wasn't possible anymore to have 1 more day.
So why should that make we asked why should Lamed, which is day 30 of the previous month, be a Rosh Chodesh? Rosh Chodesh means beginning of the new month. So if Lamed is the last day of the previous month, what connection does that have to Rosh Chodesh?
Now, I discussed this here in the house, and we found that it could have to do with the months in which there are festivals, because when there are no festivals, it's different. And that's also to do with the arrival of the Edim and with the arrival of the messengers, because after the Edim arrived to the Beis Din, it was a certain day, and then the messengers had to go out, and that could be a next day already. So when the Beis Din in Yerushalayim called out a certain day as Rosh Chodesh, it could be that the next day, the next 24 hours, the messages would arrive in a region where it should have been already the 1 day Rosh Chodesh, the second day of Rosh Chodesh.
Okay, good. But I'll ask you a question on that. So why in Eretz Yisrael do they have 2 days Rosh Chodesh?
Because I think, but it's only a suggestion, that actually Israel is a little bit smaller than it was in biblical times, for instance, and it could be possible that they could not make it in 24 hours or before the difference between 2 days.
I understand. So that would be on the same lines as why we have 2 days Yom Tov in Chutz La'aretz, right?
Yes, because they have to go
But-
far away.
I understand, but why is Rosh Chodesh in Eretz Yisrael for 2 days? In Eretz Yisrael, they knew straight away when Rosh Chodesh was, because the Beis Din was in Eretz Yisrael, and they could give a message, at least for Yerushalayim, on the spot, straight away.
No, but they didn't need, they shouldn't need messengers to go out when there were only Jews in Eretz Yisrael. So in Eretz Yisrael, the Beis Din knew that there were also Jewish communities living far away who has to be informed.
So they themselves kept 2 days because for those communities far away?
Why not?
I mean, we don't see that Eretz Yisrael keep 2 days Yom Tov because in Chutz La'aretz they kept 2 days Yom Tov.
For the moment, it's completely different. When we would have had a Sanhedrin now, one of the first things they could have done was to go back to 1 day of Yom Tov. Of course, because scientifically we can determine exactly when the new moon would have to arrive, seen or not seen.
Correct. So nowadays we only have what we were left off with. Unfortunately, we don't have the Sanhedrin and we don't have a Beis Din which is more powerful than the previous Beis Din, because
So alternatively, they have to take care for the Jewish community all over the world.
yes,
so
the
to
only
say.
way the only way a Beis Din would be able to have the power to change something from the previous Beis Din, from a previous Sanhedrin, would be if we would have that power today. And that
Yes.
power today, unfortunately, doesn't exist because we don't have the smicha, we don't have all the Jews living there. So for whatever reason, we don't have that power. So we're left with what was left off 1,000, 2,000 years ago. But going back to Rosh Chodesh, in Eretz Yisrael, they keep the same amount of Rosh Chodesh as the rest of the world. That means if the 2 days, Rosh Chodesh that we have in Chutz La'aretz is exactly the same as the 2 days Rosh Chodesh that they have in Eretz Yisrael. So the only time where we see a difference between Chutz La'aretz and Eretz Yisrael is by the 2 days Yom Tov and the 1 day Yom Tov. But in Rosh Chodesh, we don't see any difference. We see that the same Rosh Chodesh they have in Eretz Yisrael, they have in Chutz La'aretz. So obviously, it's some slightly different reason than the reason why we have 2 days Yom Tov.
Yeah, then you have 2 days Yom Tov too in the Eretz Yisrael.
But not
Yeah,
first days and last days. Not 2 days Pesach and 2 days Sukkot, the first days.
yeah. If you have 2 days Rosh Chodesh,
They have 2 days of Chodesh, right? So obviously,
Yeah.
2 days of Chodesh.
it's why the difference?
Exactly, it's different than 2 days. 2 days Chodesh they do have, and 2 days Yom Tov they don't have.
Mhm.
So this
Now,
is
with
what we-
Rosh Hashanah, they do have 2 days of Yom Tov.
sorry.
With Rosh Hashanah, they do have 2
Ja,
days.
oké, we verschonen alleen, maar
That's,
Pesach
that's exactly the
zoek
question we
not.
want to
I-
address, which we left off with last week.
Yes.
Is why in Eretz Yisrael do they have 2 days Rosh Hashanah? If you look in the Torah, it says
Sunday.
very clearly, Rosh Hashanah is be'echod lachodesh hashvi, the first day of the 7th month. In the Torah, it doesn't say anything about 2 days Rosh Hashanah.
Right.
So this was the question where we left off. We want to try and get into today, and that is why is Rosh Hashanah 2 days in Eretz Yisrael? Rosh Hashanah should be, like it's written in the Torah, 1 day. And as we know, the Yomim Tovim in Eretz Yisrael, Pesach and Sukkot, are 1 day. Why? Because in Eretz Yisrael they knew when Rosh Chodesh was, there was no doubt. Chutz La'aretz they didn't know, so there was always a doubt. So that's why they kept 2 days in Chutz La'aretz. In Eretz Yisrael they know. So if that logic, that reasoning should tell you that for Rosh Hashanah the same thing. They know when Rosh Hashanah is, so 1 day Rosh Hashanah. So that was a question. So in order to answer that question, we have to explain a little bit what we started explaining last week, which we were saying before. Why is Rosh Chodesh 2 days? If a month has Lamed Yom, 30 days, we explained that Yom Lamed is Rosh Chodesh and Yom Aleph is Rosh Chodesh of the next month. Question, why is Lamed Rosh Chodesh? Lamed means 30 of the previous month. Rosh Chodesh means beginning of the new month. What connection does Lamed, which is the last day of the previous month, have to do with Rosh Chodesh? So we said the minhag in Amsterdam is to say Ya'aleh V'Yavai. and not to call out Rosh Chodesh for that reason, because it's not the new month yet, but it's only Yad V'Yavoy. But even with that minhag, we still say Yad V'Yavoy, and we still say Halo, and we still do Kriyas HaTorah, and we still have Musaf, and we still lane, and we do all the halachas of Rosh Chodesh. But why do we sing Yad V'Yavoy? Why do we do all that? Why do we daven Musaf? What's the connection? Yom Lamed. If we look in the calendar, the first day of Rosh Chodesh, when we have 2 days, it says Lamed, for example, of Shvat. Lamed Shvat is not the new month. Okay, so here comes the answer. And this is where we started last week. Going back to the times of the Beis Hamikdash when they were Mekadesh the Chodesh al Pi through witness. What exactly happened? What happened was the following. And this is very important because this explains a very lot in the whole understanding of Kiddush HaChodesh and Rosh Hashanah and 2 days Rosh Chodesh, Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz. And this is something very, very, very interesting, very important to know. Even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash when they were Mekadesh through witness, let's start like this. Day 30 arrived. Now was the question, is today going to be Rosh Chodesh or not? Because yesterday, day 29, day 28, could not be Rosh Chodesh. Like we said last week, if 2 witnesses came on day 28 and said, we saw the Levana, we saw the moon, Bezdin will say, Lecha baita, go home. Doesn't make sense. You did not see the moon. If Aiden came on day 25, hey, we saw the new moon. Bezdin will laugh at them because it's not possible that you saw the new moon. From day 30, there's a possibility that people could see the new moon. So 30 in the morning, Bezdin will open the doors and would be waiting if witnesses would come and say, today we saw the new moon. So the Gemara explains us, and this is the point. Already on day 30, before the witnesses came and said, we saw the new moon, it was already announced, was already accepted that today is Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because perhaps later on in the day, witnesses are going to come and say, we saw the new moon. And if witnesses come and say, we saw the new moon, Bezdin will declare and say, today and right now is Aleph. It's the beginning of the new month. It's not anymore Lamed, it changes to Aleph. Because as soon as Bezdin accept the Eidus that there is a new moon, that means that the new month has started. So if the new month has started, it cannot be any more Lamed, because Lamed means the previous month. So the new month has started, so now is Aleph. So therefore, since on day 30 in the morning, there's a possibility that this afternoon is going to change to Aleph, we don't do half day Rosh Chodeshes. There's always a full day of Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, day 30 was already declared Rosh Chodesh, because perhaps this afternoon is going to be Aleph, because witnesses will come and say we saw the new moon. So now, with this understanding, we can open up a very lot or answer many questions, and it'll be a lot clearer the whole year, all the months, and Rosh Chodesh. Now let's explain with this foundation step by step. First of all, what I said so far, is that clear to everyone? That has to be clear, that point. That point has to be clear, that already in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, day 30 was Rosh Chodesh, because perhaps this afternoon will change to Aleph. Why would it change to Aleph? Because maybe witnesses are going to come and say they saw the new moon, and we don't do half-day Rosh Chodeshes. So already in the morning was Rosh Chodesh, because maybe it's going to be Aleph. Now, what happens if no witnesses came on day 30? No one saw the new moon. So what came out was that day 30 was Rosh Chodesh, but it didn't end up changing to Aleph because no witnesses came. If witnesses didn't come, then the new month must start tomorrow, because eventually either today or tomorrow, one of those 2 days is the new moon, because the new moon is somewhere between day 30 and the next day. So it must have been somewhere here. So if no witnesses came on day 30, then the next day was Rosh Chodesh. So even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, you could have 2 days Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because day 30 was already Rosh Chodesh. Now, if witnesses came on day 30, then it changed from day 30 to Aleph. Okay, so then you had 1 day Rosh Chodesh. In the morning, we thought it was day 30. In the afternoon, it changed to Aleph because witnesses said they saw the new month. But it was only 1 day Rosh Chodesh. If no Eidim came, there was no witnesses, so it ended up day 30 being Rosh Chodesh and not changing to Aleph. And then the next day became Rosh Chodesh because it had to be the new month the next day. So even in the times of Beis Hamikdash, you could have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, Lamed and Aleph. Now, thinking about it, always Lamed was Rosh Chodesh. Always. Because when we, like we explained, when we woke up in the morning on Lamed, Bezdin said today is Rosh Chodesh. Because maybe this afternoon is going to be Aleph. So already in the morning, it had a din of Rosh Chodesh. So every single Lamed was Rosh Chodesh. Sometimes it changed to Aleph in the middle of the day. And sometimes, if Edin didn't come, Lamed was Rosh Chodesh, and the next day was also Rosh Chodesh, Aleph. But always, Lamed was Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, even nowadays where we have a calendar, which Hillel fixed, to remember what happened in the times of Beis Hamikdash, we always fix Lamed as Rosh Chodesh, not because we have a doubt. Because in Eretz Yisrael, they also have Lamed Rosh Chodesh. Why do we have Lamed Rosh Chodesh, even though it's not yet the new month? Because even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, Lamed was Rosh Chodesh. Why was Lamed Rosh Chodesh? Because we don't have half a day Rosh Chodesh. So Bezdin always said on 30th in the morning, today is Rosh Chodesh. Sometimes it changed to Aleph in the middle of the day, and sometimes it didn't, depending on whether Eidim came. But Lamed was always Rosh Chodesh. To remember that, we also have Lamed as Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, in a month where we only have 29 days, we only have 1 day Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because day 29 was never ever Rosh Chodesh. Even in times of Beis Hamikdash, there was never a 29 Rosh Chodesh, because it was not possible that Eidim came on day 29 and said we saw the moon, and Bezdin said today Rosh Chodesh, because the month has to be 29 plus days, because it takes more than 29 days for the Levana to make a circle. So 29, day 29 was never ever Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, if we have 29 days, we only have 1 day Rosh Chodesh. Why? Because 29 was never Rosh Chodesh, and Aleph is the beginning of the new month. But on a month when we have 30 days, we make day 30 Rosh Chodesh to remember that even in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, day 30 was Rosh Chodesh. Because perhaps day 30 will change to Aleph. And therefore they already said in the morning of 30 that today is Rosh Chodesh. Therefore, even in Eretz Yisrael, where we don't have 2 days Yom Tov, we only have 1 day Pesach, 1 day Sukkot, they still have 2 days Rosh Chodesh. Because that reason why we keep 2 days Rosh Chodesh is because day 30 was Rosh Chodesh even in times of the Beis HaMikdash. So that logic applies also in Eretz Yisrael. So there's no difference Eretz Yisrael and Chutz La'aretz with regard to 2 days Rosh Chodesh and 1 day Rosh Chodesh. Every month that has 30 days, day 30 is Rosh Chodesh and Aleph is Rosh Chodesh. Why is 30 Rosh Chodesh? Because to remember that even in the Beis HaMikdash, day 30 was Rosh Chodesh. Not because it's the new month. The new month is Aleph. The first day Rosh Chodesh is only because in the times of the Beis HaMikdash, they also had day 30 Rosh Chodesh. And that's the reason why in Amsterdam they say Ya'aleh V'Yavoy, not Rosh Chodesh. Because Ya'aleh V'Yavoy is just to remember the day that they had in the times of the Beis HaMikdash. But when is the actual new month? The new month is only on Aleph. Aleph is the beginning of the new month. So Aleph is the real Rosh Chodesh, and Lamed is to remember the day that they kept in the time of the Beis HaMikdash, because maybe today is going to change to Aleph. And that applies to Eretz Yisrael as well. There's no difference Chutz La'aretz in Eretz Yisrael. Okay, so hopefully that is clear so far. Is that clear to everyone so far? Mayor?
I have one question.
Yeah.
The thing is, now we got the next month, or this month, is 28 days. You're talking all the time about 29 or 30 days. Yeah, but the new month is coming. Now it is 28.
No, we're talking about the Jewish calendar. The Jewish
Yeah,
calendar.
okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Not
we
just
are.
Georgian.
No. We are doing the Jewish calendar now.
Okay.
Difference.
Yes.
Between the
That's a
Jewish
big definition.
It's completely different calendar. One is based on the moon, and one is based on the
sun.
Yes.
Yeah, on the moon and on the sun. Eh? The sun is correcting the moon.
The sun is only. I don't know. What do you mean by the sun is correcting the moon? The moon doesn't need correcting. The moon does its job, and the sun does its job.
Yeah, okay, correct.
And what about Ladies' Day on Rosh Chodesh? We have an holiday.
Yes, it's actually brought down as interesting. He's saying that Rosh Chodesh is like a day that women shouldn't do certain melachas, and it's a holiday for them. Now,
Get a gift.
Sorry?
Getting gift.
Getting gifts, yeah,
Gifts to
No,
return.
it's special.
Give a lady a gift on Rosh Chodesh is definitely a good way to start the month. But going back to you, Mayor, you're saying an important point, but it's very important to mention that the Jewish calendar is based basically on the moon. Our months are 12 cycles of the moon. And the reason why we have a Schikelyar is because we want to make sure that Pesach is going to be B'chodesh HaOviv in the spring. As the Torah says, that Pesach has to be B'chodesh HaOviv in the spring. And if we don't do a Schikelyar, then it'll work out that after 3 or 4 or 5 years, the Pesach will fall back into the winter. Because the 12 months of a moon is only 354 days. The sun cycle is how many days, Mayor? Mayor, you know, how many days is the sun cycle?
365.
365, exactly. So 365 minus 354 is 11.
But there was also a big discussion during the creation of Hashem that there was the sun was the same size as the moon, but the moon becoming smaller than the sun. And he say, yeah, okay, because you are the moon, you are the time of the Jewish calendar. And the sun, because that reusing the sun and the moon and the sun, and that's the reason why he made the moon more important than the sun, because he was smaller. And the moon was complaining again, Hashem, and say, why I'm smaller than the sun? Then they say, but you are more important, because for the Jewish calendar, you are more important because you are the time. The only correction, if there is need a correction, that is coming from the sun. That's the reason why we using the sun and the moon for the Jewish calendar. The Christians are using only the sun. The Muslims using only the moon. That's the reason why on the minarets are always a moon on it with one star.
Again, on what?
That is on the minarets of the mosque. Is a moon.
What's the minarets? What's the minarets?
Minarets is a tower on the mosque. Where
okay. They have the picture of the moon?
Allahu Akbar.
So they have the moon? Only a moon?
Yeah, the moon with one star in it. It's the same as if you look into the Turkish flag. There's also a moon, the last quarter, of the moon with a star in it. That is how they work.
So that's why their Ramadan could sometimes fall in the winter or summer, spring. It moves around. But our calendar is basically based on the moon. On a monthly basis, it's based on the moon. The only time where we use the sun is in order that Pesach should fit into the spring. Because there's one word in the Torah, in Parashas Boy, which tells us that Pesach should be B'chodesh HaAviv.
Chodesh HaAviv, yes, that's right.
Exactly. So because we want Pesach to be B'chodesh HaAviv, that one word, we've got to make a Schik Eliyah. Our Schik Eliyah is because of that. Now, like we said before, the moon months, which is what the Torah says, we go with the moon. That Kiddush HaChodesh, every month we go with the moon. Every month we have to go with that. That is 11 days less than 365 days, which is the sun year. The sun takes 365 days to make a circle. The moon takes 29.25 days to make a circle around the earth. 12 moon cycles is 354. So at the end of the year, we are 11 days off. So therefore, approximately, every 3 years, we need to have an extra month because we are 30 days behind the sun. And who cares? The Torah cares because the Torah wants that Pesach should be in the Chodesh HaAviv, and therefore we have to do a Schik Eliyah. That's the only reason. But going back to our topic, let's make a few more things clear. I think once we have this clear, what I just said so far, we can explain even more, step by step. So what we've said so far is that the first day Rosh Chodesh that we keep is only to remember that in times of the Bris HaMikdash, on day 30, they had Rosh Chodesh, because maybe today is going to change. So every time there was a number 30, a day 30, it was always Rosh Chodesh, either because Adam never came, and therefore it never ended up changing, or it changed in the middle of the day to Aleph. But we never had half a day, and therefore it was always declared on 30 in the morning is Rosh Chodesh. To remember that, day 30 is Rosh Chodesh. On a month where there's only 29 days, there's nothing to remember because day 29 was never Rosh Chodesh. Now, let's go to the next step. We had an amazing question, and that is, why is Rosh Hashanah 2 days in Israel? Rosh Hashanah should be 1 day, the same as Pesach is 1 day and Sukkot is 1 day. Okay, before we come...
But that's only the holidays are 2 days are only outside of Israel, eh? because
Exactly.
they're
No,
not
Rosh
But,
checking the
Hashanah
time.
2 days also
but
in
Rosh
Israel.
Hashanah has 2 days in Israel.
Okay,
And our question is why? Why is
Because-
Rosh Hashanah 2 days in
because
Israel?
they didn't know exactly the time.
But what about Pesach?
Ja. Dat is interesting.
Goeie vraag.
Ja, goede vraag. Ja, waarom? Weet ik niet.
Okay. So this question was asked last week in the shir, and I looked into it, and it's a very well discussed question. And the answer is the following: based on what we said, if we understand what we've spoken till now, we can understand the answer why Rosh Hashanah is 2 days. And let me explain. Even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, like we said, on day 30 in the morning, Bezdin said that today is Rosh Chodesh, because maybe this afternoon witnesses are going to come and say we saw the new moon, and we don't do half days. Therefore, already in the morning was declared Rosh Chodesh, because maybe it's going to be Aleph this afternoon. So now,
But Rosh Hashanah is 1 and 2, not Lamed and Aleph.
Okay. So let me just very good.
Yeah.
Let me just very good. Let me just finish off, and then we'll come to your point, Mr. Jacobs, and that is like this: even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, on day 30, hey, maybe this afternoon is going to be Rosh Hashanah. If to it, and the Torah says on the Echod LaChodesh Hashvi, on the 1st of the 7th month, is Rosh Hashanah. Okay, so now on 30th in the morning, on day 30 in the morning, what's going to happen? Should we blow the shofar? Should we go to
Yes.
shul? Should we keep Yom Tov? Should we not keep Yom Tov? We're stuck with what we're going to do. If witnesses come this afternoon and say we saw the new moon, hey, we lost the whole story. We're supposed to blow shofar this morning. We were supposed to, today was Yom Hadin. And witnesses could come anytime today. We don't want to miss the opportunity. What's going to happen? Therefore, even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, as soon as it came to day 30, Bezdin already said to start keeping Rosh Hashanah. Because maybe this afternoon is going to be Aleph, like we explained before. And if it's going to be Aleph, then it's already halfway through Rosh Hashanah. So the same way as by 2 days Rosh Chodesh we explained, that on day 30, Bezdin already said it's Rosh Chodesh, exactly the same logic was by day 30 of Elul. Maybe this afternoon is Rosh Hashanah. Therefore, Bezdin already announced today is Rosh Hashanah. Because if Eidim come this afternoon, it's going to be Aleph. And we're going to miss it. Therefore, Bezdin said today is Rosh Hashanah. Now, if Eidim came and said we saw the new moon, okay, great. Today is Aleph. And we had 1 day Rosh Hashanah. Perfect. If Eidim did not come today, then they had 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Because only the next day was Aleph. So even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, the same as they could have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, like we explained, they could also have 2 days Rosh Hashanah. Because if no one came on day 30, then the next day was Rosh Hashanah, Aleph. So sometimes they also had 2 days Rosh Hashanah on Lamed and on Aleph. On Lamed because no Eidim came, and on Aleph because it has to be the next day. And in a year where Eidim came on the first day, then they had Lamed in the morning, which changed to Aleph in the afternoon, and then they had 1 day Rosh Hashanah. Now, Mr. Jacobs asked, why do we have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, Aleph, and Beis Tishri? According to this, the 2 days Rosh Hashanah that we have should be Lamed and Aleph.
Yeah.
Not Aleph and base of Rosh Hashanah. We have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, Aleph and base Tishri. According to this logic that we explained, the same way as we have 2 days Rosh Chodesh, Lamed and Aleph, we should have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, Lamed and Aleph. And our 2 days Rosh Hashanah is not Lamed and Aleph, it's Aleph and base. So, to answer that question, I'm going to share with you something very interesting. Hold on a second. If I can do my screen share with you, let me just look up something a second. I'm going to see if I can find something, and then we'll do a screen share, and you'll say, okay, that makes sense. Hold on a second.
Paul, je moet even Yitzchak Uri Dunner even co-host maken, want dan kan die sharing doen.
No, I think I can. Hold on a second. I'm just going to look up something.
Uri Dunner, he makes your co-host, and you are the obligation to share screen.
Okay.
Paul is now working on it.
Okay. On a second. I'm going to try and do something over here.
Everybody can do a share screen at the moment.
You're sure, Frank?
Yes, yes.
Okay, I was thinking only co-host or the host can do it.
You can do it. Just push the share screen.
Okay. The share screen is under it, Duna.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm just going to open up something a second. I'll share with you a second.
Here we go.
Yeah, I'll do that. Hold on a second. I am just...
Frank,
Ja.
ik heb net share screening aangezet, maar ik kan het niet doen hoor.
Jawel, ik wel.
Oh, jij wel, oké.
Ja, maar ik ben bijzonder.
Dat klopt. Baruch Hashem. Maar ik zal je geheimje vertellen, Frank. Allemaal zijn we bijzonder.
Tuurlijk.
Daarom hebben we maar 1 fingerprint.
Ja.
Dat maakt ons uniek, de fingerprint. Niemand anders heeft dezelfde.
Doe je succes, Rabbi Dunner?
Yeah, hold on a second. Just looking up something on my computer, and I want to share with you. Hold on a second. Let me just. I don't know what to see.
Wel, we horen je niet hoor, je hebt je microfoon uit.
You hear me?
Yes, but there's a green button share screen.
Yeah, no, I'm just. I've got something. I'm trying to.
Hij zoekt de file.
Lip it that you can see.
I took the file.
Yeah. No, I haven't got a problem sharing. I'm just trying to.
In the meantime, I can show you this book.
Oh, interessant, Frank.
Ja.
Uri Dunner, don't look so difficult.
No.
You should be happy.
I'm just. No, my computer's being naughty.
Okay.
No, I mean,
Naughty?
Stop it. It's okay.
Most of the children are naughty, now your computer naughty.
Yeah, no. No, maybe because my children have been on my computer.
No.
Okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't work.
Rabbi.
Hold on a second. Okay. Okay, doesn't matter because I'm just trying to have a calendar. I'm trying to. Okay, so the answer is again. So Mr. Yaakov's question is a very good question. According to this logic, that we have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, because even in the time of the Beis Hamikdash, they could sometimes have 2 days Rosh Hashanah on a day where no Eidim came. So our question is, why is Rosh Hashanah not Lamed and Aleph? It should be, why is it Aleph and Beis Tishri? It should be Lamed Elul and Aleph Tishri. I'll tell you the answer. The answer is very interesting. We have a calendar like I explained, based on Hillel. Hillel fixed our calendar because he saw that the Bezdin was going to stop, and we're not going to have any more Kiddush HaChodesh, and therefore we have to set our calendar, and based on different Gemaras, which we can discuss another time, he set our calendar, and we know exactly when Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur and everything's going to work out. Hillel's calendar is basically 29 days, 30 days, 29 days, 30 days, 29 days, 30 days. And he has a whole calculation for that. Look at the month of Elul, which is the month before Tishri. Elul has how many days? No, almost. Elul has 29 days.
The 29, oh, sorry. No.
Elul has, look at your calendar, Elul has 29 days. Elul has 29 days, so we can't make day 29 Rosh Hashanah and Aleph, because 29, like we explained many times today and last time, 29 was never Rosh Chodesh. There was no doubt in 29. It was only once it came to Lamed, which we started doubting. So we don't have a Lamed in Elul. We only have a 29. So it's not possible to make day 29 and Aleph Rosh Chodesh and Rosh Hashanah, because 29 is never connected to Rosh Chodesh or any doubt. So the only way, according to our calendar, we could keep 2 days Rosh Hashanah to remember that sometimes in the times of the Beis Hamikdash they also had 2 days Rosh Hashanah, is by doing Aleph and Beis Tishri. So if you look up in the Shulchan Aruch, you can look up in the Mishnah Berurah if you want. I can't remember exactly which siman it is, but the Mishnah Berurah explains exactly what I just now told you. And that is, the reason why even in Eretz Yisrael they have 2 days Rosh Hashanah is because even in the times of the Beis Hamikdash, sometimes they had 2 days Rosh Hashanah, like we said, because on day Lamed could have been this afternoon Aleph. So already on Lamed they said today is Rosh Hashanah. If Eidim came today, then there was only 1 day. If Eidim did not come, then there was 2 days. To remember that they had 2 days, we also keep 2 days. Why is it Aleph and Beis Tishri and not Lamed, Elul, and Aleph? Because we do not have a Lamed Elul. To make 29 Elul and Aleph Tishri is not possible, because 29 was never Rosh Chodesh. There was never a doubt. So therefore, that's why we have Aleph and Beis Tishri Rosh Hashanah. And that's why even in Eretz Yisrael, they have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, exactly the same as us. So our Rosh Hashanah is really the same Rosh Hashanah as in Eretz Yisrael, because they have 2 days Rosh Hashanah, not because they have a suffix, like because Pesach and Sukkot, they don't have a suffix. But in order to remember what happened in time of Midrash, they have 2 days, so we also have 2 days. Pesach and Sukkot in Eretz Yisrael, there was never a doubt, because the time it was Aleph, it was clear that today is Aleph. Once it's clear when Aleph was, they always knew that 15 days later would be Pesach, or 15 days later would be Sukkot. We in Chutz La'aretz didn't yet know, so we were always doubting. So therefore, we have 2 days Pesach and 2 days Sukkot. Now, I'm just looking at the clock. I'm going to ask everyone who's listening whether there's quite a bit more to discuss on this topic. There's a whole discussion about Yom Kippur, we had a question last week. Why is Yom Kippur only one day in Chutz La'aretz, according to the logic of having a suffix, the same suffix doubt that we have for Pesach, Shavuos, and Sukkot, we should have for Yom Kippur. So anyone who's complaining about fasting for one day might have to fast for 2 days. So there's a whole discussion over there, and there's 1 or 2 other important points to discuss. So there's not going to be time today to go into it, but I'm asking you whether for next week you prefer we take a new topic or we do another share in continuation.
Okay, then why we don't fast 2 days?
Yeah, but and there's more also on Kiddush HaChodesh. So should we do one more share on this topic next week?
Let's ask the people.
So that's why I'm asking the people.
I think it is very interesting and choshev to know.
Okay, so you know what, maybe we can do half a share next week on this, and then we can
Okay.
do another topic.
It's okay.
See how the time goes. Okay, thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much.
Anything to add?
Okay, see you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Good work.
Good work. All the best. Take care. Shavua tov.
Hashem.
Good Shabbos, yeah.
Good
Shabbos.
First,
Yeah.